Welcome everybody to Wisdom Wednesday number 17. Today's topic is called From Unhappiness to Contentment. So we have a question. I'm unhappy in my life. I finally acknowledged this recently. I have done everything I can to be happy. I have what most people have. I have a wife, kids, job, home, friends and family, but I don't feel the joy. It all feels like a burden. So I again look for something else to bring me happiness. It feels like I am forever searching and never getting satisfied. What am I missing? Yes, I believe you are among millions and billions of people on this earth with this same sense of dissatisfaction. The whole world is chasing and looking for satisfaction. And maybe we get it a little bit, but for some reason it doesn't feel like it's very fulfilling. So what is the problem? So it's kind of like we know there is some happiness somewhere. We feel that it's possible because we do have a little taste of it. And this desire for happiness is like a carrot that's just dangling way off there in the future, and I'm kind of chasing it. So we have this sense that if I go and fulfill all of my desires, if I attain some successes in life, if I continue to chase more, wonderful experiences in life, I will get that satisfaction. And it's that carrot I'm chasing. And it just never seems to be a complete, fulfilling satisfaction. So I understand, and you're among many, and I'm included too. I'm also chasing my little carrots, hoping that I'll find satisfaction. So the problem lies in the outward flow of our attention. So we have 5 senses. And we're oriented in such a way that the eyes, the ears, the hands, everything is outward. In order to have an experience of our sense objects, whatever it is that we're in contact with, we need to put our attention outside and as if want to meet the object. And there's a momentary bliss or a momentary satisfaction when we have union with an object. But the object is external. So we are, because of the 5 senses and the way we are oriented, we're under the biggest joke on earth. All of us are influenced by this. We think that our 5 senses and contact with the objects outside will give us that satisfaction. It's the biggest illusion out there. It's the biggest illusion that human beings fall for. All of us are included in that. And it's just because that's the way our human body and mind, the human being is designed. And it's the same with animals too. So the fact is, happiness does exist. And we experience a little bit of that happiness momentarily. It's kind of like whenever we feel empty inside, we start to feel like we need something to fill us up, and that happens many times in a day. We have this emptiness, and then all of a sudden this desire starts to arise. The desire usually comes from a memory of having some sense of fulfillment. So I'll give you an example. Say in the middle of my day, I might be feeling kind of empty. I don't know what to do with myself, and I'm not feeling fulfilled, and there's this gap. And then I have a memory of the last time I ate ice cream, I had that moment of satisfaction. So the memory comes in, and then I start to desire that particular object that's now in my head. And then I think about, and I kind of replay it. It's like, yeah, when I had that ice cream, I had this incredible, nice, flavorful taste in my throat. And there was this kind of yummy feeling of bliss that kind of creeped over my whole body. And I never thought about anything afterwards. So every single lick was extremely fulfilling and satisfying in itself. So that's what we do. We feel unfulfilled, we feel empty, we have a memory of something that triggers desire, then we go out and we start chasing it, and we hunt down the ice cream shops, and then we buy that ice cream, and then we take a couple of licks, and then we re-experience that momentary bliss for, I don't know, 5 minutes, something like that. And then the last lick is gone, and it's just not in your system anymore. And then what happens? We're back to the same lack, the same emptiness. And then what happens? The mind starts to start going again and thinking, I'm back here with this emptiness. What am I going to do next to find my next moment of fulfillment? That's us. And you think that's hell? Yeah, I think it's hell. It's hell to be constantly chasing and running after one thing after the next thing in order for to have these momentary blisses. I don't know. It's hell for me. It's probably hell for you because you're now asking this question. So I do want to say that there is something called happiness, and it's a much more longer term sense of happiness that you can experience. And in yoga, there's a Sanskrit term for it, but I'll give you the English term. The English term is called contentment. So, how can you experience contentment? So instead of feeling empty and always creating new desires and chasing after the objects to fulfill your desires, there's an opposite thing happening. Contentment comes when you are, instead of striving and your attention is going out to the object and meeting the object and finding union with the object, outside of you, you're now aware that there is something called stillness, silence, your established essential self, the place of stillness. It's also called the watcher, the one who just witnesses. That one you can use as an object, but it's an internal object. So stillness, the place of stillness that is there within you, is present. Now, if you turn your attention and go back to the place of stillness, if you sit in your stillness long enough, you'll start to feel satisfied. Believe it or not, it's true. It's usually the very thing that we're all running away from because we equate stillness or silence with emptiness. But it's the exact opposite. When you finally settle down and your mind is settled and there's no waves in your mind, no lots of thoughts, because all those thoughts that you have are like desires. So then every desire that comes up, it makes us have to move and chase and do something. So now we're in action, we're striving, it's effort. But when you're in the silence, there's no need to move out of the silence. It's extremely satisfying in that stillness. So your contentment is when you're connecting with your stillness. And yes, you can still move your body around and function like a human being, but your attention is still and quiet and at this place of what we call peace of mind. It's relating to that. It's identifying with that stillness. And in that is the contentment. That means that if you always are connecting with the stillness and the silence, that watching, then you will have the ability to find your satisfaction. You might even eat an ice cream for that matter. But you're not thinking that it's the ice cream that's creating the satisfaction. The ice cream will be over and your sense of fulfillment will continue. Why? Because you weren't thinking it was the ice cream that was going to fulfill you. You know it's the silence within. It's the stillness within that is the most fulfilling. Why? As I said before, there's no movement in it. Because it's the movement that agitates us. It's the movement that makes us feel we have to strive and make effort. When that stops, we're settled. And that's really the happiness that we're looking for. So another way of thinking about this is if you are sitting in a movie and your life, you know your life is full of movement. It's in action all the time. But if you're sitting in the audience and projected on the screen is the story of your life and the dramas that are going on in your life presently, but you're sitting back and you're watching this character on the movie screen called you, but you're watching it. So the character is dramatizing all the events, going up and down, this situation's happening, your emotions are going up and down, but you're the watcher of it. There's a kind of a satisfaction, a contentment in just being able to sit back and observe. And it's all okay. So the attitude that arises for you is take it as it comes, take it as it goes. In another way of looking at it, say you're, have you ever sat down and just been a watcher or a witness of a scene? Say you're sitting at the park and you have your kids, or some kids, maybe they're not your kids or maybe they are your kids, and they're over there playing and you're watching the whole drama and you're sitting back and you're watching. Isn't that fulfilling? Like, there's nothing you need to do. You're taking it as you're seeing the kid, you know, grab the toy out of another kid's hands, and you're seeing the other kid getting all upset, and maybe you think, you know, something should be done about it, but you sit back and you observe the whole drama as if these are my kids, this is my life story, as if in the movie screen, but you're able to just watch it. There's a contentment in that. Why? Because you're slightly back and you can see the whole thing for what it is, and there's no urgency to have to react or respond because you're in the stillness. It's sort of like when you're floating on a boat in the middle of the ocean. And some days there are lots of waves, and other days you're just in the settled ocean. There's no movement in the waves. There's a sense of like, here we are. Finally, I get to the beach and I'm sitting there and I can stop everything. Well, that's the contentment. It's just a matter of what are you identifying with? Are you identifying with the things outside that are changing and moving and that you have to strive for, and there's a lot of this efforting? Or are you practicing identifying with the part of you that's always still, that's always watching, that's always silent? When you identify with that silent, still, watch yourself, then you will feel the contentment in your life. Your body may go out there and do all kinds of activities and be completely involved on a physical way, in a mental way. But there's a part of you that you are developing, you are nourishing, you're evolving inside of yourself, you're becoming more familiar with, and that part is the watcher, the stillness. It's getting larger. Every time you focus on that watcher part, that still part of you, it gets, spreads. And then stillness becomes the base on which you do everything in this world. You become less reactive, less needy, less desires start to arise, because why? You're in this place of kind of like, everything is just fine. And whatever happens, I'll take it what it is, and I'll take it as it comes, and I'll take it as it goes. Okay? So that's the little secret to finding contentment in your life after not knowing where to find that happiness when you have found everything on the outside and you haven't completed your satisfaction with union with everything on the outside. And the reason is you cannot find it on the outside. It's when you find that stillness inside that your contentment will happen. All right, so thank you for today and today's Wisdom Wednesday, and I'll see you next Wednesday for another Wisdom Wednesday. Bye for now.